Stephen White, Steve Arts 89 here. I spent the last couple of days doing overviews for the Brian Froud Creation Myths graphic novels and his The World of the Dark Crystal book and the Dark Crystal storybook and comic adaptation that I totally missed the new trailer which came out about 20 hours ago. So nearly a day ago. So it's old news now. But it was very, very interesting. I thought they were only doing 2 trailers and the last one was the final trailer. But this was more of a featurette type trailer. It was only 2.5 minutes long, or 2 minutes 35. And it had shots, parts of scenes, dialogue, and also had cut into that interviews with some of the voice cast, Simon Pegg, Natalie Dovmer, Taron Egerton, Jason Isaacs, who I don't like. He famously told Star Trek fans where to go if they didn't like the new show. I didn't like the new show, so basically he told me where to go, so I don't really like him. And a whole bunch of other things about him. But I should just separate the actor from the performance. Elisa Hansen, the executive producer, and Jeffrey Addis, who was the producer and writer. They each have a little bit to say about the series. They established that it is at a time when the Gelflings are ruling the world, and it's a time of wealth and prosperity and everything, and that the Skeksis are lords of the Dark Crystal, and it's the moment where they realize that they are evil and up to something. And Rian, who his name is spelled R-I-A-N, and it seems to be pronounced like Rian, is the son of a guard, and he overhears some sign of betrayal on the part of the Skeksis, that they have some plan, which I guess they were planning the darkening of the crystal, the darkening, and they show a lot less shots but longer shots. You get a little bit of sense, there's some dialogue, you get a sense of the puppets being puppets. Visually it looks more like the original Dark Crystal. The picture quality is beautiful, the detail is stunning, and like they say in here, because of course they're trying to sell it, of course, they're saying that well, it was an original fantasy world, big, detailed, much like Lord of the Rings, or the environments, the worlds of Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, and that sort of world that they had to create and go into. And it's the same but more. So it's the same world, it looks the same, you're just seeing more of it or different parts of it. And that is what we were hoping for. Now, there is that scary, scary moment where I keep thinking of him as Elton John. Taron points out that the fans want this, the fans want that. Now, I never like to hear an actor, producer, writer saying what the fans want, because I'm the fan, I'll tell you what I want. But they seem to know what we want, so I feel not too bad about it. Basically, we want an Odyssey. We want the universe that we've seen, that we've had a taste of, to be enriched and to see more of it. And that's kind of true. So as long as they stick to the basic story and the idea and the themes and everything, and it was already a fairly far out woke sort of story. It was fairly balanced. It was definitely diverse. I mean, God, it was aliens and creatures and Gelflings and everything. Oh my. And it didn't have a lot of the human political drama and rubbish attached to it, because it was a fantasy world, much like the original Star Wars. If they can keep to that, it should be fine. I don't mind a little bit sneaking in. There'll probably be something in relation to, because the Skeksis taking it, it's like there's a kingdom, there'll be politics. But it looked really good, and the whole concern, the only concern with this series, because it does really look like a faithful recreation of the original universe and world, is that the idea that perhaps they are using too much CGI and it will break the illusion and make it harder to have the same suspension of disbelief. Because when you look at puppets and create environments like in the original film, even with special visual effects, which are all filmed elements, processed with film, you do get a sense, even if you know it's not real, you get a sense of it being real. You're aware that it is real, even if it's puppets and strings and material. You know that it's real on some subconscious level, whereas CGI, it's kind of like painting or animation. You get a sense that it's not real, but even those use real elements. It's just something about it, sometimes it just doesn't work. It just feels right. And there is that one shot they show again where Rianne runs out a window, basically jumps out a window in some sort of palace and jumps down and bounces off like a wall on his way down. Then they show a second shot of him landing in water, and both of those look very fake and very CGI. Well, not fake, but very CGI. You know it's not a real person, a real character, and it's not a real puppet. For was it Jen? They had a little person in an outfit walking around in the environments to create that illusion of him being a real character and a real being running around an environment, and that worked. They don't seem to be doing that, or I'm not sure if it's possible they had a puppet that they puppeteered through all those movements and then just put the environment around him. But yeah, so there's just that little bit for the whole preview. There's that one set of two shots that didn't look right, and it's the same shot that didn't look right in the preview. So whether it's an early CGI shot that isn't finished, or if there's going to be those moments where they do pull you out because they're doing something that couldn't be done with puppets, so therefore it couldn't be done with a real person and shot, because you want to believe it's a real environment with real people and there's just cameras there shooting. You don't want that sort of prolonged, stretched out shots that weave in and around everything, which you couldn't really do with a camera or a real person. That really announces itself as fake and CGI, which they always put in movies because they want to show you something you couldn't see in the real world. And I'm like, but that just pulls you out of the fake real environment. So I still had that concern, and I'm probably not the only person, and that will be the issue with this show if that is in it. And even if it's not, people who don't like it will just claim it's in there and hate on it anyway. But I'm still very excited. I'm 99% excited about it. This is that one little percent of, will they pull me out with too much CGI? But that is the danger of all sci-fi and fantasy films. There's always those moments, because you can only suspend your disbelief for so long anyway. You do become aware of the artifice. But I'm going to let it go. It was nice to see Lisa Henson talking about it. She's the executive producer. The actors all seem great. The fact they've managed to attract that much voice cast talent and actual real stars is kind of amazing. It does make you feel like they've really put money and effort, and it's really going to be something special. But I still hate Jason Isaacs. I just don't like him. And he recently trashed the producers of Star Trek Discovery, saying they really didn't know what they were doing in the first season when they approached him for the part and all that. And then he turned around after this was recorded and put out in YouTube videos by YouTubers like Mecha Random. He said it didn't happen, and they're lying. And I'm like, we've heard the audio, it's real. So I just know he's not a nice person. So I have trouble with that. But he won't be on screen, so I won't have to look at him. He's just a voice, so I should be able to, remove him from the equation, his personality, his horrible way of dealing with fans and disrespect, and just focus on the performance. And he is a creepy, evil guy, so he should be able to do a pretty good Skeksis. He's pretty much well cast. So I'm just going to leave that there. I'm still very excited. There's about 10 days to go. I think it's August 30th it's going to be on. It's the 21st today. So 9 days. And I've got 9 days to read my Dark Crystal graphic novels by Brian Froud, and I'm probably going to buy the other ones as well. Even though the sequel, this is a prequel, I can watch this, then watch the movie. I don't need to go past the original or the other trade paperbacks or graphic novels are sequel based. So I guess I can put that off a little bit. I don't have to try and do it all now, but I'm just getting really excited about everything, and I hope you are too. I hope everyone is. I hope it's really great, and I look forward to reviewing the episodes and seeing everyone else's reviews and just talking about the Dark Crystal again, and not just rehashing the old one and conversation about the old one, but actually having new content and new stuff to deal with. Because I did do a little bit of research. There was going to be a movie sequel. It got really close to being made several times, including with an Australian company. And I had heard from a girl who, her friend was working on the makeup designs and some of the puppetry elements, some of the art for the puppetry elements. So they apparently got into pre-production with it, and it got fairly far. But it still didn't happen, and that's what they ended up. They just made it into a graphic novel instead, a 3-part graphic novel, or actually 2 3-part graphic novels, 2 stories, 6 graphic novels, 3 each, blah blah. And they just stuck with a prequel, and they're sticking sort of within that timeline, not moving past the characters and doing what that other story did, which was sort of set itself well after the Dark Crystal, sort of like The Last Jedi, where it sort of removed the old characters. I think it starts off with them, then it removes them, and then it goes into new characters. And this one is more in the territory of if you're looking Star Wars wise, at the prequel series, which I dread actually saying and connecting the two. But unlike the prequel series, which was basically a CGI cartoon, they're sticking to the original aesthetics, not like George, who totally abandoned the original movie aesthetics of the trilogy. So there's a little Star Wars Dark Crystal equation, and why that prequel series didn't work and this prequel series should work. But I'm going to leave it there. I've talked way too long. I hope you enjoy the preview. I hope I've given you something for the conversation, and I hope I hope it's good. I just hope it's good. Feel free to like, subscribe, and see you later. Bye.